Professor Dershowitz, always a pleasure, sir, but especially on this day. So it's extortion. So what would have been a better deal if one was set to exist at all, in your opinion?
Well, it's not a deal. If somebody puts a gun to your head and says, your money or your life, and you give them a $100 bill, that's not a deal. If somebody kidnaps your daughter and you have to pay $1 million for ransom, that's not a deal. It's an extortion. It's a crime. And Israel, because it's a democracy with a soul, couldn't resist. It had to do whatever it had to do to get back the however many hostages are still alive. Many have been murdered in cold blood. So it's not a deal, and it will have very negative implications for Israel's security. Look what happened when they traded one soldier. They got one soldier back, Gilad Shalit. In exchange, they had to give up 900 terrorists, including Sinwar, who then proceeded to participate in the murder of 1,200 Israelis and many more after that. So
that is the fear. Yeah.
And when democracies have terrorists, it's not a deal. It's just a crime, and everybody should recognize that. And let me tell you who has blood on their hands. These students at Columbia, these students and faculty members who support Hamas, who are saying, jihad, revolution, they have blood on their hands because they encourage Hamas to do this.
Absolutely.
And they encouraged Hamas not to accept the deal earlier. So don't tell me they're young people. People who supported Hitler and Stalin were young people. And these Stalinists and Hitler youth at Columbia and at Harvard and other places are no better than the Nazis who marched at Munich University and Berlin University in 1933.
Professor Dershowitz, before we get your reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling on TikTok and what may happen next, I do want to put a finer point on this. This deal, which you say is extortion, does have certain phases. After the first phase, Israel is allowed, if Hamas doesn't uphold its side, to continue on to eradicate Hamas. So with Donald Trump now in the White House as that second phase and third phase plays out, is there something maybe perhaps psychologically that's important for the families? And then there is that sort of opening that in the second and third phase with Donald Trump in, that maybe the deal might be something more positive for Israel. And that's why they brokered it.
Well, I've spoken to President-elect Trump, and he's very tough. And as you know, he made it clear in public, if they don't comply, all hell will pay. And I think that's the reason why the deal ultimately was made. And I hope he's equally tough, and I think he will be on Iran and on Lebanon. And I think the Middle East has changed through strength. The strength of the IDF destroying Hezbollah and Hamas and the defenses of Iran, and the strength of Donald Trump. It's a good combination for democracy, for the fight against terrorism, and for America.
Certainly, we have hopes that some of the stability that was in Donald Trump's first term in the Middle East can continue on. Professor Dershowitz, as you know, the Supreme Court upheld that the government can shut down TikTok, concerns about it being propaganda data collection. The TikTok CEO is thanking President Trump for a commitment to work with the U.S., saying to find a solution that keeps TikTok available in the United States. So finding an American owner, does that satisfy this and the concern, you think, for Congress and in your expert opinion?
Look, I don't like TikTok. I wish it would go out of business in the marketplace of ideas. It's done very bad things for young people, for America, but the First Amendment protects it. And this opinion is an awful opinion for any civil libertarian, anybody who believes in free speech for those you hate. This is a terrible opinion. The court applied the wrong standard. It didn't apply the strict scrutiny standard, which it always do when free speech is involved. And remember, this doesn't involve the free speech of Chinese owners. It involves the free speech of 170 million Americans who use TikTok. I wish they wouldn't, but who use TikTok. So, for me, this is not me defending the Nazis marching through Skokie, because TikTok is not the Nazis, but it's for me defending the free speech rights of people I despise. And but I worry for precedent. Remember, too, it's not going to work. This is not going to work. This is not going to prevent information from getting to the Chinese. First of all, the Chinese could buy the information from other American companies. And second, there'll be ways of circumventing this. You can't beat science and technology by law. We've known that for
Yeah.
years.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.